Hey, my name is Ryan McEwen, and I am going to now tell you how to get started coding in R. So I'm assuming now that you've watched the other video and you've downloaded R and RStudio. If it's not showing up on your desktop exactly, see this little thing over here, this little window, you might have to find it scrolling down. R and RStudio down here. And I like to grab it and pull it over so it's all sitting there. I like to hang out together too. Puts them in a better mood. They like to snuggle. That's of course not true. Just me saying something ridiculous. So what I want you to do is open RStudio. Get started. It's going to open up. It's going to look like this the first time you use it. RStudio basically has a few different components. It's going to come right open, and the console is going to be here. See this word right here? You can see my cursor. Console. And then you have this plots area over here. Then you have environment right here. So we're going to work in scripts. Other ways to do it, there's a thing called Markdown. If you ever encounter someone who uses Markdown, your job is to be like, hey, that's cool, and learn how to use it. But for this class, we're just going to use a script. So we're going to go File, New File. See that? RScript. RScript is right here. So you just got a flashing cursor. Now, what you want to do is save your script to some place. So you can go File, Save As, and then pop it into some folder or something like that, so you know where it is. And for the purposes of our class, we're going to use the same script, just build and build and build. So every single time when you come to class, we'll just open that script again. I can't tell you where to put it. I would say make a desktop folder, something like that. Just go File, Save As, Desktop is what I would do. Make a folder or something and put it there. Wherever you want to put it, it's fine with me. We're going to work in this environment, this part right here. And so we're going to have the script window right here. Right here is the console. When you run things in the script window, you'll get feedback in the console as to whether it's working or not. It's kind of hard to interpret what that is, but over the course of the semester, we'll kind of learn it together. You got the environment over here, and then you have your plots window right there. So it's basically four pieces. The good thing about RStudio is it keeps everything organized in this way, and a lot of students like that. It's helpful. So go ahead and open a script. Like I said, File, a new RScript, and then save it some name, however you want to save it. So while you're doing that, I'm just going to open up the script that I have, because you can also, once you've saved it, from then on, you can just open it. So I'm just going to, this is going to be confusing, so don't pay too much attention to what I'm doing here. I'm just going to open up the script that I have for our class 1:13:22. You have a script that's going to look like this. I'm actually going to give you periodically script as a txt file. Txt is just like a notepad file like this. You can copy the text directly, like edit, select all, copy, and then paste it over into your RScript and then save it. So I'm actually going to paste all of this, put all of this into Isidore for you to take a look at. There's a lot of text at the top. I put these hashtags here. If you put hashtags around text or in front of text, it means R won't read it. It doesn't know that anything's happening when you try to read this. It's just for you. So these are just notes for you. I have a lot of words to say here. I won't read all of this, but I would encourage you to read all of this yourself. This is just saying, oh, hey, R is a coding language. What is a coding language? A very simple explanation of that. Hashtags and note taking. It's really important that you get used to taking notes for yourself. Again, if you use Markdown, you can take notes in a different way. But in scripts, I think it's really nice to make just hashtags and write lots of notes there. And if you're doing data analysis for your thesis or whatever, I want to urge you to take lots of notes so that you can keep track of what you're thinking, because you might forget the very next day what's going on. Our first workshop is going to be on LeBron James. LeBron James is a professional athlete. I'll show you in class what that looks like if you don't know about basketball. It's a kind of sport. I've really enjoy watching that sport. And also, as a philosophy for the class, want students to get used to the idea that data is everywhere in the environment, and that once you learn how to use R, you can manipulate data and analyze the data bring it into R, make your own graphs and so forth. And so I do want to encourage you to be like kind of global data citizens, if that makes sense. And so I like to use data sets that are not necessarily biology all the time, although we will have biology data sets. So if you get really mad at me about using sports things, I'm sorry, I'll give you some biology data sometime soon. So we have to acquire a data set. Let me just change that spelling. And I'm going to share that with you in Isidore. The first data set we're going to use comes from Basketball Reference, which I'll talk about in class. I don't want to talk about it right now, but I just literally downloaded the game statistics for the 2016-2015 season for a team called the Cleveland Cavaliers, versus where this particular person named LeBron James, that's a human being, where he used to play basketball. I'll explain it all in some depth in future lectures, but for now, we're just going to do something really quite simple, which is read in the LeBron James data. Old school way of reading in data is this read.csv command, and then you have to have the pathway of where the data is found. However, I'm going to give you the data set. One of the features of RStudio that people like is this import data set. See right here, see my cursor? Should have made the cursor really big and blue or something. Anyway, import data, you can hit from text. I will have saved the, or I will have given you the data set. You're going to want to figure out a folder where you're going to store the data set for yourself. There's lots of data you're going to get over the course of the semester, so don't get too excited about this. This is the one, lbj.csv. I'll share it with you. You'll find some folder. It won't have like 70 other data sets in it. I'll just have one. You're just getting started. And then you just hit open. Now, here's a key piece. When you start to open it, this heading thing, see right here, see my cursor? Heading, you hit yes. See right here, data frame. The column headings that were in the data set that I created, which I'll talk to you about later how to do that, you want those. If it's no, it puts these V's up here. That makes the coding complicated. You need to, it's not going to work actually because you've got this weird stuff in the next row. So you want to hit yes. And just for the column headings, see my cursor right here? G, that's games. TM is team. Who's the opponent? Wins and losses. I don't know what that is exactly. I have to look that up. Maybe that's the point differential. Maybe that's what it is. Shouldn't have those brackets there. Anyway, yes. Game started. That's LeBron James. Anyway, I won't go through all these. Hit import. When you hit import, what happens is, see over here, next to your script is right there. Right next to it will be a tab. The tab will have the data in it. So you can take a peek at what's going on. So pause the video, upload the data. Good, got it? Should be easy enough. And then, yeah, I guess I should leave this alone, but there's a read.csv. I'll leave that code there for you to look at. If you ever not using Studio or you want to read it in, the same thing would happen. You're basically assigning these letters, LBJ, you're assigning it to that CSV file, the data set. If you import it this way, see this at the top, see my cursor, LBJ, that's the name of the data set. From now on, in your code, if you're going to be referencing LBJ. And so here, if you want to see the data set, so what you do to run code, just type. So this is going to be blank when you're coding. So you would just literally type LBJ. So if there's nothing here, so LBJ. LBJ is the name of the data set. You can highlight it, hit run. That'll be your first bit of coding you ever did. And see if something happened down here in the console, a bunch of stuff happened. It just said, here's the code, and then it just reproduced the data set. It just says, here's what the data set is. This is what LBJ is. And this is a good thing for you to get in the habit of doing, because if the data aren't there, your code's never going to work. So I always do this. And if you hit a snag, you should do it. And then you can take a closer look. Again, I don't want to spend time right now going through this. I'll go through it. We'll work with this data set like for a couple of weeks so that you're used to it. It's in the console. You could also, of course, just click over here, but it is good to make sure that LBJ is what you think it is, and that R understands what's happening. That's what's going on. And then if you want to just look at the instead of the whole data set, just the top, you can type this. And again, this wouldn't be here. You would have I'm going to give you this code, but as we go forward in class, you're going to literally type this stuff. Like this is just going to be blank and you're going to type head BJ. Yeah. This is coding. Now you're coding. What you're saying is, hey, R, what are the first 5 lines or whatever of the data set? This is sometimes useful so you can see the column headings. Or you can go, what are the names? This is some other code. This is just going to show us the specific column headings. You need column headings for coding in the future. So that's your first bit of code. So you have some data. Now we want to install a package that we're going to use for graphing called ggplot. ggplot is a very popular graphing package. You don't have to use ggplot. You can make any graph actually using what's called base code, which is not a package. However, since it's so popular, ggplot, I'm going to teach you how to use it. Now, in the package is just, there's this guy who's like, hey, I love R so much. It's so great. I'm going to just like have a big part of my life be take a bunch of R code and make a bunch of shortcuts to create ways to make figures that I think are very beautiful. This is some guy's like his Picasso moment, or what is it? His passion is expressed in creating this package. And the package is called ggplot, and a lot of people like it. It's not the only, or it may be even the best graphing package, but it is a very popular one. People like it a lot. So you want to install it into your RStudio. To do that, you're just going to type it again. I'll give you this, but you just would type install.packages, and then bracket quote ggplot2 close quote close bracket. Now, one thing about coding, and this is a simple code here to run. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to run it. But what you would do is highlight this, and hit run, or run that code. When you do that, it's going to go and unpack this package. One thing to say is if your code is wrong, if it's not exactly that, it's not going to work. So if you forgot the quotes, it's not going to work. If this is a comma instead of or a bracket instead of parentheses, it's not going to work. It has to be exactly what I typed there. And then once you do that, so just highlight this, run the code. I'll install ggplot. And then to activate it, kind of turn it on, do it this way. You write library ggplot and hit run. When you hit that down here, see in the console, it goes, okay, turned on, no problem. If there's an issue, you'll get some red stuff down there. It's like, I don't know what's happening, is what R's telling you. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Pause the video, run the code. Okay, now you got your package, got your data set. So we're going to work with the LeBron James data for a couple of weeks here. Again, I'm sorry if you're annoyed by basketball. I find it entertaining. And I think it's something quite relatable at the University of Dayton. We have a basketball team and such. So that's why I like to use it. It's hopefully non-threatening. It's not like some kind of molecular something or some whatever, blood data or something, hemoglobin or something. So we're going to work with LeBron James data. Here's the thing. We might be interested in how his individual performance influences team success. So in the package or in the data set, you've got wins and losses. See right here down in the console. So you played this game. One team won, one team lost. In this case, it's a loss. Cleveland Cavaliers lost that game. They lost the game by 2 points is what it looks like here. Other games, they won. They won by 30 this game. So that was and then what's in this data set is in this game, how many points, field goals, that's throwing the ball towards the ring. LeBron James, how many attempts did they have? How many times did he shoot it? 3 points, attempts, free throws, free throw attempts, and so forth. A really important statistic for basketball players is points, PTS. So you might ask this question. How are LeBron James game statistics influencing success of the team, wins or losses? This is a little bit of analytics. We're going to play around with this for a little while. And so here is your first opportunity to write a graphing code. So go ahead and type this up again. Yeah, type that up. And all this stuff has to be exact. So this is ggplot is just like saying, hey, R. This is the thing about coding. You're telling R what to do. It can only listen to you. So what you're saying is, hey, R, I want you to use ggplot. I want you to look at this data set, OBJ. Remember, that's in this tab. AES means aesthetic element. Basically, it's just like draw something. The x-axis, which is the flat axis, I want wins, losses. There's only two categories. It's either win or loss. On the y-axis, that's the up and down axis. I want you to make a graph of points. How many points did LeBron James have in wins? And how many points did LeBron James have in losses? Put this has to be exact. So open bracket, open parentheses, close parentheses, and then a plus. When you're coding in ggplot, you put these pluses to build layers. And again, we're going to do this over and over again, so don't freak out. This is a very simple bit of code. And then we go geom underscore box plot. That's a type of plot. And you open bracket, close bracket, then you're done. And that's the code. Highlight the whole code, hit run. And when you do that, in your plots window, this is what appears. Oh, wait, see my little cursor here? Pointing arrows in different directions. You can make this bigger, like this. You can make it smaller. You can adjust it this way too. If you hit this little right here, zoom, it gives you a different way of looking at it. There's lots of things to do. We're going to just play with this over the course of the semester. So we're just, again, this is step one. The objective of this little bit is just for you to get this code generated. Now, what does this mean? What this means is down here, as you told R, you said, hey, on the x-axis, see this code over here, see my cursor? Wins and losses. So losses, wins. These are games the Cavaliers lost. These are games the Cavaliers won. Okay, this is group comparison. We're going to unpack this again all semester. So just getting started. This is a group comparison between two groups, losses and wins. On this axis, y is points. For a box plot, the height of the box represents, this line represents the median, and this box represents the range of the values. If the box is higher than the other box, then that will be more. And specifically, we're looking at this dark black line. That's the median. So if, in fact, LeBron James scored more points in games they won than the games they lost, this box would be above the other. That's what you're looking for here. That would be an effect. See this? See what my hands are doing? In this particular case, they're exactly on top of each other. There's no evidence here that points for LeBron James varies at all, wins versus losses. I'm going to explain to you in some great detail how to read a box plot. We're going to be playing with box plots the entire semester. But this is the very first one. So if you can run that code and create this figure, then you have met what we need to happen for the very first session. I'll also give you this little bit of code, which is like just explaining what just happened. And that is our goal for Coding Club number 1, is for you to complete this bit of coding and create that graph. So thanks, y'all, and see you soon.